Ladies and gentlemen, today, I will be talking about Judas Priest again. I did a review for their 1997 album Jugulator a few weeks back. Now it's time to review the follow-up to that clunker. Demolition. Demolition. That's just as the title of the album in question is written on its CD cover. In case there are people watching this video who are living under a rock, Judas Priest are one of the pioneering bands in the metal genre and are among the greatest bands in existence. Up until 1992, they put out 12 albums, most of which were completely badass and a showcase of undeniable talent of all members. Glenn Tipton and KK Downing's dual lead guitars are unmistakable and would influence thousands of great metal bands everybody knows, as of today. Rob Halford's performances and those first 12 albums remains nearly unsurpassed by anyone since his erstwhile reign. Clearly, he gave Ozzy a run for his money. Their bassist, Ian Sculhill, has been in the band since the beginning, and elevates the guitar leads and is a huge idol among fans of the band and the genre. They've had around 4 or 5 drummers for their album recordings and live shows, all of whom made a showcase for the band regarding their unpalatedness. The drummer from the 80s, whom I can't remember the name of, had been charged with statutory rape in the 90s, but regardless of whatever the fuck he did, he drummed for the busiest eras in the band's lifetime. After Painkiller, Rob Halford left the band for personal reasons and sought roles in other bands. The rest of the band resurrected themselves in 1997 with a new album, entitled Jugulator, this time employing a new vocalist, Tim "Rip" Owens, a shitty imitation of Rob Halford and sounds somewhat like Tom Araya during some sections of songs, where he's shouting. Otherwise, those sections make him sound like a grunge singer. Why Tim Owens' vocal style was appealing to the main lineup is a mystery to me. Both the songwriting and vocals made Jugulator a jug of horse shit. If I were a devout, long-time Judas Priest fan at that time in 1997, I think listening to the album would have left me crying in sorrow. The worst part about this change in sound direction was that the songs were significantly less riveting and soulful. You don't feel anything. I repeat, anything that Tim "Rip" Owens belts out. The riffs are just as blunted and lifeless as the vocal parts. Their most recent album, entitled Nostradamus, is somewhat of a mixed bag and even contains an element of the new and flagrantly retarded dubstep genre in one of the songs in the second disc. There are still good songs on it, like Conquest, Revelations, Persecution, and its title track, and it's a little better than the last album with a reunified Rob Halford, in my opinion. Anyway, Demolition is undeniably the worst Judas Priest album ever created. I suppose Rob Halford was aware of this at the time, and had promptly revoked Tim "Rip" Owens' position as the vocalist for Judas Priest, gladly so. I don't even own a copy of this album, so for this review, I had to go out and rent the CD from one of the local libraries in my area. I didn't even import it to my Zune, and have instead used a CD player to listen to it. So what exactly designates Demolition to be the worst Judas Priest album of all time? Well, let's start by having a look at the album cover. With Jugulator, you had this. Without having heard the album before and being aware of the less critical praise amongst fans and other album reviewers, I had the idea in me that there was some sort of promise within. It's a valid effort for an album cover. Jumping to 2001, here is the cover for Demolition. What the fuck? What happened to there being a painting for the cover? All that I'm looking at is a spray of red paint with the fake metallic embossment of the album cover over a completely black background. They have plenty of money and admirers all over the world at this point in their career, so why couldn't they find someone to draw or paint a proper album cover? 6 albums before this one all had top-of-the-line album art, and all that's on Demolition is some design that looks like it was made in Microsoft Paint. How disgraceful. There's barely anything going on with the booklet design as well. Here are some shots of the inside. I see nothing more than a last-minute CGI design of what looks like an exploding sphere. You see a lot of those in album covers, it seems, as well as a band photo that was poorly edited into this design. How was this supposed to invoke mental imagery for the meanings of the songs in this album? How did they expect the fans to be settled with this? What a shitload of silver-eating utensils. How about the music? Well, fetch your toaster and draw a nice hot bath, and I'll tell you everything there is to hear about Demolition's music. In its entirety, this album sounds like the soundtrack for a PS2 racing game, or reject Sonic Adventure music. That should be a monumental clue for what the music in this album appropriates. Just like Jugulator, they've put experimental tape music interludes at the beginning of their songs, and the style played is still groove metal. The first song is called Machine Man, which sounds like a song title pulled out of a hat. The last track is called Metal Messiah, at that. 1980 was 2 decades preceding this album's release, How about some more intricate song titles than just things that sound metal? Again, the vocals have a rocky, rather raw mix to them, and Tim the Ripper Owens has an refined delivery. Just awful lyrics, as well. For example, Licensed to Kill. On my 650 Bonneville. Hellfire we yell. Fueled and indestructible. No fear, just hate. Drives us to the ultimate. Cut loose extremes. On our maniac machines. So you motherfuckers want to race. You've all got loser tattooed on your face. Machine Man's running. You wanna try. Machine Man's coming. You're gonna die. And to confirm, it's Judas Priest stripped down for all the kids from the holler, mostly in the Rust and Bible Belt. Oh god, kill me now. So you motherfuckers want to race? You've all got loser tattooed in your face? Just the way he recites this set of lyrics had me considering reaching for the off button in the CD player I was using. I had to look up what a 650 Bonneville was, and this is what I found. Just some motorcycle. It doesn't even look that amazing of a motorcycle. Exactly the kind of thing I don't want to hear about when listening to music. Just leave that shit to Rob Zombie. At least he sounds better on his songs. Track 2 is called One on One. During its run, the bridge is a prominent example of why Tim Owens can't phrase his lyrics to a level of passability. The song just remains uninteresting and pandering to the popular trends of the once current music scene, and typically employing a bad aping of Ramstein. Why a pioneer of the metal genre is trying to play like the contemporaries, as though it's necessary, is beyond me. Groove metal is all about this album, which is depressing in a way, because by 2001, it had already subsided as a trend. And it's so obviously generic. There's nothing about this song that has me riled up like classic Judas Priest songs, compared to others, like Hell Patrol, Jawbreaker, Riding on the Wind, or even Locked In. It's so out of place. Hell is Home is track 3. Ouch. Bad lyrics, worse phrasing, and projection. The sound is so American, when in reality, they've always been British. Catering too much to sloppy American teenage boys who wear oversized t-shirts, one after the other, overweight, and ill-mannered. I just keep thinking that a song like this would be played as background music on MTV's Cribs, or in a motorcycle or sports car mechanic's shop with vintage film reel filters inserted in intermittent sets of frames. Obviously, the wrong places to be thinking about when listening to this band. How about an excerpt from the song's lyrics? Oh, look down your noses at me, hating my identity. Oh, but that don't mean a damn thing, you see. 'Cause down here in hell, everybody loves me. I can't think of any lyrics Rob Halford wrote that resemble this on-screen text. A conviction so ineffectual is boiled down to middle school poetry by Tim Owens' obnoxious delivery. For lyrics about ostracism in society towards certain individuals, these surely don't help to sympathize with him, if that's really his life situation that he's singing about. Jekyll and Hyde is track 4. Some very bad writing here. The soft part, after the chorus, may be one of the worst transitions of a Judas Priest song up to this point in the band's repertoire. The growling is poorly done as well. It gives us a taste of symphonic metal with the brass horns in the verses, but doesn't expand in this newly presented element. Instead, it expands on the reasons why I can't stand this fucking vocalist. And the drums sound so fucking horrible. The cymbals sound like a fucking slinky on a mattress. Close to You is next, and it's very boring. It's just a drag of a song and semi-ballad. I think I may have skipped it when I was listening to it either the first or the second time through. I know I skipped it entirely the last time I was listening through this album. What a bore. Track 6 is Devil Digger. It still sounds like a Discovery or History Channel car show theme music with its riff style. Maybe some more disharmonic keys would have helped with this pervasive quality. It's here that I don't even have the desire to make fun of this record, and just wish to throw my CD player in the fireplace in my living room. I've heard people argue that Tim Owens has a decent to pretty good voice, but this testimony is clearly from a subset of delusional people. Let me make it explicitly clear, his voice does not fit this band, whatsoever. I don't know what Glenn Tipton, Ian Hill and KK Downing were thinking when they auditioned and hired him, but the few shrieks that resemble Rob Halford are not impressive enough to have warranted his tenure with the band, and he has no knack for writing vocal melodies. The next song is called Bloodsuckers, and to complement that corniness of that title, there's another interlude opener that fails to captivate me the listener to effectively envision the themes of the song. It makes me think of the band at an outdoor concert with some Hooters mom at the front edge of rafters who happens to be at the concert with her 6-year-old son, and whispering to him as this backing track runs, "It's Bloodsuckers, honey." As if she's waiting on the other concert goers and handing out business cards, as she's babysitting her son. As if any fan is going to be jumping up and down in place next to the other patrons and telling them how excited they are that their new song, Bloodsuckers, is about to start. Here are some of the lyrics. Don't speak to me of morality. Justice wrong or right. You dig up the dirt. Ignore the hurt. And spit out all your lies. Conscience free, as we bleed. Hypocrisy born from greed. Don't preach to me of integrity. Or your legal highs. The judge is thrilled. He's dressed to kill. And easy every night. Subliminal, so absurd. It's criminal, yet can't be heard. Bloodsuckers, how can they sleep at night? Bloodsuckers, nothing but parasites. So these are lyrics about people in the legal system, as in attorneys and judges. It's just another song of thousands out there that ridicule the legal system by deeming the consequences of it to something far too overblown to distinguish itself for merit. That first verse reads with unrefined juvenility, saying that an attorney presents meritless arguments strung together by lies. And this is according to whom? Tim Rip Owens. Is he an arc?